There's no denying that food is a crucial part of Christmas. From the smell of spices in the air to the hints of caramelized sugar and freshly roasted meats, these dishes weren't just food, they were traditions, little pieces of holiday magic created by hand and passed down through generations. Join us in this video as we discuss 20 scrumptious holiday foods that have faded into history. Number 1. Ribbon candy. Ribbon candy is a holiday food that is more like edible art than an ordinary treat. In many homes, ribbon candy was as much a part of the holiday decorations as the tree itself. Children would eye it eagerly, careful not to break the fragile ribbons before sneaking a taste. With a taste that was both sweet and subtle, ribbon candy had a way of melting on the tongue, leaving behind a faint hint of peppermint or wintergreen. Its light texture made it both satisfying and fleeting, a brief moment of sweetness that somehow lingered in your memory long after. Though it was everyone's favorite because of its beauty, ribbon candy was also notoriously delicate. Its shape made it prone to cracking or sticking together in humid environments. As the years went by, its intricate design and the care required for handling became impractical for mass production. Today, it's rare to see ribbon candy gracing holiday tables, but for those who remember it, the sight of those colorful curls brings back a rush of nostalgia for simpler, sweeter holiday moments. Number 2. Mincemeat pie. For generations, the rich and spicy aroma of mincemeat pie signaled that Christmas was near. This dish was made with dried fruits, spices, a dash of brandy or rum, and in traditional recipes, even a bit of suet. Mincemeat pie had a flavor profile both complex and comforting. Its filling was dark and sticky, filled with tiny bits of apple, raisins, and citrus peel, each bite packed with a burst of spices like cinnamon, cloves, and nutmeg. Mincemeat pie originated in medieval England. As the recipe crossed the Atlantic, it became a staple of American holiday tables, often reserved for Christmas Eve or the grand Christmas dinner. Families would make mincemeat from scratch, usually letting the flavors meld for days or even weeks before baking. However, as holiday desserts moved toward lighter, sweeter options, mincemeat pie began to fade. Its intense flavor became something of an acquired taste, and its unusual ingredients made it difficult to modernize. But for those who still remember the scent of mincemeat warming in the oven, this pie will forever be a taste of Christmas past. Number 3. Figgy pudding. No holiday food list would be complete without the mention of figgy pudding. This dish has been immortalized in carols, yet it's rarely seen today. Figgy pudding was a dense, dark steamed dessert made with suet or butter, breadcrumbs, and dried figs, sometimes fused with a hint of rum or brandy. It had a chewy texture and a deep fruity sweetness. It was a dessert that took time to savor. In 19th century England, figgy pudding was the star of holiday gatherings. Families would gather around to watch it steam, the fragrance of figs and spices filling the room, making it was often a family affair, with each member giving the pudding a good stir for luck. Some even wrapped coins or charms within the dessert, adding an element of holiday magic, as lucky family members might find a hidden surprise in their slice. Figgy pudding was a slow, hard treat to make, but as time changed, quicker desserts became the norm. Today, it's often remembered more for its place in Christmas carols than on actual holiday menus. Number 4. Boiled custard. Boiled custard was a southern holiday staple. It was a creamy, luxurious drink served warm and permeated with nutmeg, vanilla, or sometimes a hint of bourbon for adults. Families often made boiled custard from scratch, whiskey egg yolks, sugar, and milk in a pan over low heat until the mixture thickened into a silky, rich custard. It took patience to get it just right without curdling, but the result was a comforting, subtly sweet drink that felt like a warm hug in a cup. As eggnog grew in popularity, with its easier preparation and lighter consistency, boiled custard slowly faded away from holiday gatherings. But for those who remember it, boiled custard is a reminder of the quiet moments shared by the fire. Family gathered close with a taste as comforting as the embrace of a loved one. Number 5. Popcorn garland. Long before store-bought ornaments took over, many families decorated their Christmas trees with homemade popcorn garlands. These snowy, simple chains were a fun, hands-on project for kids and adults, who would sit around the kitchen table stringing popcorn kernels with cranberries or dried fruit for a touch of color. The result was a rustic, homemade decoration that added a touch of fun to any tree. The process of making a popcorn garland was an exercise in patience, as each kernel was carefully threaded on a needle and strung to form a long, fluffy chain. The process was often paired with Christmas music, laughter, and maybe popcorn eating breaks in between. Once complete, the garland would be draped around the tree, a soft white accent that looked beautiful against the greenery. Number 6. Plum pudding. Plum pudding, also known as Christmas pudding, was once the crowning glory of a holiday feast in Victorian England, and eventually the US. It was packed with dried fruits, spices, and a splash of brandy, and it was steamed for hours to achieve a soft, rich texture. Though its name might be deceiving, this classic dish didn't actually contain plums. In Old English, plum was simply a term for raisins. In the days before Christmas, families would gather to prepare their pudding, each person taking a turn stirring the mixture. Plum pudding tradition waned as holiday menus evolved. Its long preparation time and heavy flavor made it less appealing to younger generations, who preferred lighter and quicker desserts. But for some of us, there's no dessert that says Christmas quite like this rich, spiced creation. Number 7. Wassail. The mere mention of wassail brings to mind gatherings around a roaring fire, mugs in hand, as loved ones toast to each other's health and happiness. This warm, spiced punch, traditionally made with apple cider, cloves, cinnamon, and a dash of brandy or ale, was a cherished Christmas Eve tradition. "Here we come a-wassailing" was more than just a song lyric. It described the old custom of neighbors visiting each other with mugs of wassail, sharing warmth and good cheer. Wassail was usually brewed in a large, ornate bowl that was passed from person to person, each taking a sip and giving a holiday toast. The drink was smooth and spicy, with a warm, comforting flavor that seemed to chase away the chill of winter. For some, it was the smell of Christmas itself. A sweet cider-like scent mingled with the earthy warmth of cloves and nutmeg. As pre-made holiday beverages gained popularity, wassail faded from the scene. But for those who remember the gentle clink of wassail mugs and the cheer of a holiday toast, this drink remains a heartwarming relic of a time when Christmas was all about gathering together and sharing from a single cup. Number 8. Oyster stew. Oyster stew was a unique holiday treat that combined the salty taste of fresh oysters with a rich, creamy broth. With subtle notes of butter and pepper, the stew was a warm and filling dish that signaled the start of the holiday season. For Catholic families observing meatless Christmas Eves, this dish offered a delicious way to honor the tradition while enjoying something a bit indulgent. To make oyster stew, fresh oysters were shucked, their delicate aroma filling the kitchen, and then simmered in milk or cream, allowing their natural sweetness to infuse the broth. The result was a simple yet luxurious stew that, when garnished with a pat of melting butter, became a bowl full of comfort. Over time, oyster stew fell out of favor as oysters grew less accessible, and taste shifted away from such specific regionally influenced dishes. Number 9. Fruitcake. Fruitcake inspired countless holiday jokes, but once held a place of honor on every Christmas dessert table. This delicious treat was made with candied fruits, nuts, and sometimes a splash of brandy. It took time and care to prepare, often made weeks in advance to let the flavors blend. In many families, a slice of fruitcake was a reminder of Christmases past, as recipes were often passed down through generations, each family adding its own twist. However, as holiday baking evolved, fruitcake's popularity died down. Its reputation as overly sweet or dry made it less appealing to younger generations. Number 10. Candy cigarettes. For many who grew up in the mid-20th century, candy cigarettes were a cheeky holiday indulgence. These chalky, white sugar sticks were molded to look like real cigarettes, complete with a red painted tip that mimicked the glowing end. They were sometimes even dusted with powdered sugar, creating a puff of smoke that made kids feel like they were part of the grown-up crowd. While candy cigarettes were available year-round, they seemed to make a special appearance around the holidays, tucked under Christmas stockings or offered as a treat for children, while adults smoked their real cigarettes and sipped their eggnog. Biting into a candy cigarette with its faint sugary crunch was a little moment of holiday mischief, something kids looked forward to every December. With changing cultural attitudes towards smoking, candy cigarettes gradually disappeared from store shelves, becoming a relic of a bygone era. But for those who remember sneaking a candy cigarette or two from their stocking, they remain a sweet and slightly rebellious memory of Christmases past. Number 11. Ambrosia salad. Ambrosia salad, with its tropical blend of oranges, pineapples, marshmallows, and shredded coconut, was a holiday classic for families in the mid-20th century, particularly in the South. The salad's creamy texture, sometimes made even richer with a dollop of sour cream or whipped cream, was a dessert-like treat in the middle of the meal. Each bite was a mix of juicy citrus and pillowy marshmallow, with a subtle crunch of coconut adding an exotic hint. For children, ambrosia salad was often the highlight of the Christmas meal. It felt like a special gift from the tropics. Number 12. Gingerbread men. Gingerbread men were once a holiday baking tradition that brought the whole family into the kitchen. The scent of molasses and ginger would fill the air as the dough was rolled out and cut into little men, stars, and trees, each one carefully decorated with icing and candies. For children, the decorating was half the fun, and the cookies were as much an artistic project as a holiday treat. The process of baking gingerbread men usually took place early in December, and families would keep tins of these spicy sweet cookies to enjoy throughout the season. Some families even hung gingerbread men on the Christmas tree, letting their warm, comforting scent become part of the holiday decorations. Today, while gingerbread houses still hold a place in some families' holiday traditions, the homemade gingerbread man has largely become a thing of the past. Number 13. Sugar plums. Sugar plums were actually made from a blend of candied fruits and nuts, rolled in sugar to create a crunchy shell that hid a chewy, sweet center. They were a rare and expensive treat, often gifted to children. Their sugary coating and rich, fruity filling made each bite a tiny burst of sweetness, with their difficult preparation and flavor that seem old-fashioned by today's standards. Sugar plums have vanished from the holiday scene, but they remain a cherished part of Christmas stories, a reminder of a time when even the smallest treats were savored as treasures. Number 14. Holiday Jell-O molds. For families in the 1950s and 60s, no Christmas table was complete without a Jell-O mold centerpiece. It was a shiny, wobbly, colorful creation, often shaped in festive forms. These molds were not just simple gelatin. They were usually made with fruit like mandarin oranges. Maraschino cherries or even vegetables were covered in layers of bright red and green. These Jell-O masterpieces were carefully prepared, with each layer poured and set one by one. They were eye-catching, reflecting the holiday lights in a rainbow of colors. They had flavors like lime, cherry, or raspberry, offering a burst of sweetness and a bit of chewy surprise with each bite. For kids, the Jell-O mold was a source of endless fascination, and the ritual of slicing into it to reveal its contents added a touch of excitement to the holiday meal. As less processed foods became more popular, Jell-O molds gradually disappeared from holiday tables. But for those who remember their place in Christmas feasts, these jiggling creations are a reminder of mid-century holiday excitement. Number 15. Roasted goose. Long before turkey claimed its place as the star of the Christmas dinner, the roasted goose was the grand tradition in many European and early American homes. Goose had a rich, savory flavor, with a golden, crispy skin that cracked with every bite. Its high-fat content made it juicy and tender, while the drippings were often used to make a flavorful gravy. Preparing a Christmas goose required a careful seasoning and slow roasting, with family members often gathering around to baste it at regular intervals, ensuring the skin was crisp and evenly browned. As turkeys became more widely available and affordable, geese began to fall out of favor, considered too fatty for modern tastes. Number 16. Spiced pecans. Spiced pecans were once a holiday favorite, with their toasty, nutty aroma and a delicate sugary crust that melted in the mouth. They were usually seasoned with cinnamon, sugar, and a hint of cayenne or clove. They combined the comforting warmth of roasted nuts with a hint of holiday spice. They were both a snack and a treat, something to munch on by the fire or to wrap up in little bags and give as gifts to neighbors and friends. Making spiced pecans was a simple pleasure. Families would coat the nuts in a blend of egg whites, sugar, and spices and bake them slowly, filling the house with a scent of toasted nuts and caramelized sugar. Once cooled, the pecans were crunchy, sweet, and a little bit spicy, a perfect holiday indulgence that seemed to capture the spirit of the season. Number 17. Divinity candy. Divinity candy was a southern holiday classic. It was a delicate, cloud-like confection made with whipped egg whites, sugar, and sometimes pecans or walnuts for a bit of crunch. It had a melt-in-the-mouth texture that was slightly crispy on the outside and soft on the inside, with a sugary sweetness that tasted like a little piece of heaven, hence its name. Making divinity candy was a holiday tradition in itself, as it required just the right conditions to get the candy set properly. Humidity could spell disaster, causing it to collapse into a sticky mess, so it was typically made on dry winter days. The whole family was involved in carefully beating the mixture to achieve the perfect consistency. Once the candy was ready, spoonfuls of the soft candy were dropped onto the wax paper, forming little clouds of sugary delight. Though it has a devoted following, divinity candy is rarely seen on holiday tables today, maybe because of its preparation process and the popularity of simpler sweets. But this candy remains a reminder of the magic and patience that holiday baking once demanded. Number 18. Yule Log Cake. The Yule Log Cake, or Bûche de Noël, was inspired by the ancient tradition of burning a Yule log to celebrate the winter solstice and bring warmth to the darkest days of the year. The cake version is a rolled sponge cake, usually chocolate, filled with a rich buttercream or whipped cream, and decorated to resemble a wooden log, complete with bark made from chocolate frosting and sometimes dusted with powdered sugar snow. Creating a Yule log cake was both a culinary and artistic process. After carefully baking and rolling the sponge cake to prevent cracks, bakers would painstakingly frost it, adding decorations like meringue mushrooms, holly leaves, or little powdered sugar pine cones. The result was a charming and festive centerpiece, almost too beautiful to cut into. While some families still make Yule log cakes today, their tradition is less common outside of bakeries and specialty shops, as its preparation can be time-consuming. Number 19. Potato Candy. Potato candy might sound unusual, but this dish was a Depression-era favorite. It was made with simple ingredients like mashed potatoes, powdered sugar, and peanut butter. Despite its name, the potato flavor was hardly noticeable. Instead, it provided a creamy base that mixed beautifully with the sweetness of the sugar and the saltiness of the peanut butter. Making potato candy was a family affair. After mixing the mashed potatoes with powdered sugar to form a dough, families would roll it out into a thin sheet, spread a layer of peanut butter over the top, and roll it into a log. Sliced into spirals, each piece revealed a delightful swirl of peanut butter resembling a pinwheel. Number 20. Tom and Jerry Cocktail. The Tom and Jerry Cocktail, not named after the cartoon as many would assume, was once everyone's favorite Christmas drink. It was known for its frothy, rich texture and warming blend of spices. The cocktail was made with a batter of eggs, sugar, and spices. It was combined with hot milk or water and a splash of brandy or rum, resulting in a creamy, almost custard-like drink that was served warm in mugs. Each sip of the cocktail was smooth, with hints of nutmeg and cloves, creating a cozy, festive drink that was perfect for toasting by the fire. Serving Tom and Jerry cocktails was a holiday ritual in many households. The batter was often made days in advance and kept chilled until Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, when it was stirred into hot milk or water and topped with a sprinkle of nutmeg. Family and friends would gather around with their mugs, enjoying the drink's frothy texture and rich flavor as they exchanged holiday stories and laughter. The Tom and Jerry cocktail began to fade as eggnog and other holiday drinks became more popular. Still, for those who remember its creamy warmth, this cocktail represents a time when holiday drinks were made with love and shared with those closest to our hearts. Which of these Christmas delights would you love to try today? Don't forget to like and subscribe, and stay tuned for more awesome videos. See you next time.